All right, welcome. This video is predicting that famous singer-songwriter Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025. As we can see here, this email that is making this prediction was composed on July 9th, 2025. Okay, July 9th. And also the date that this video is posted proves as well that this prediction is being made ahead of time. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward this to you. Now, just briefly, to the agnostic atheist skeptic that will say to themselves that I must have made a video predicting the death of Paul Simon for every day of the calendar year, and that in the hopes that eventually I would get lucky and get it correct. That's ludicrous. And the reason for this is two reasons. One, only a crazy person would do such a thing. And to think that someone would do that makes that person who's thinking that the crazy person. Okay? And two, also, the reasons or reasoning for how this prediction is known ahead of time, which will be mentioned in this video and in other videos, is profound and clear, and no human mind is creative enough to come up with these reasons, this reasoning, on their own. It's clearly from God, as you will see. It's clearly supernatural. No one is creative enough. I've got tons of reasons for how August 1st is known. First and foremost, as I'll explain in this paragraph, the date 8:1 hints at Revelation 8:1 in the Bible, in which there is a period of silence that's described, and Paul Simon's first biggest hit was Sound of Silence. That's why Paul Simon will die on the date 8:1. Now, I have also known that Paul Simon will die on 8:1, 2025, since November of 2024. I didn't get around to documenting this with videos and an email until July, however. I was busy with other things. But July 9th is enough of a prediction anyway. Should have made at least an email. Well, you know what? I'm sure there is emails, just not a formal one. I'm sure I wrote emails to friends back in November of 2018. I know I did. Maybe I should go back and get one of those and put it into a video. Well, anyway, this video will be broken up. As you can see, there are multiple paragraphs, and I'll be breaking it up into multiple videos, as well as putting it into one whole video. So watch all of the videos. The wise person will recognize when the prediction comes to pass that they need to watch every minute of every video on this channel. Obviously, right? If this prediction comes to pass, this is from God, and it would be a fool to not watch, that wouldn't watch every minute of every video on this channel. I mean, what are you thinking? Okay, now, this email is documenting the prediction that singer-songwriter Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025. Paul Simon's first hit, which topped the Billboard chart, was Sound of Silence, which incidentally, Paul Simon has said in interviews that there were a few of his songs, this being one of them, that he didn't really write, and that he was more of a conduit where the song just flowed through him. In other words, he's speaking of something supernatural as to the authorship of some of his songs. And anyway, Revelation 8:1 describes how silence was observed, as in Sound of Silence, in heaven for about a half an hour. This is why Paul Simon will die on the date 8:1. It will hint at Revelation 8:1. Following the observed silence in heaven in Revelation 8:1 is the description of the 7 trumpets of God's judgment and the destruction on earth. Okay, so following this Sound of Silence in heaven, Paul Simon, we have in this chapter 7 trumpets of God's judgment and destruction on earth. Simon says he was instructed in a prophetic dream to produce his most recent album and to name it Seven Psalms. So a voice instructed him to name the album Seven Psalms and to make this album. 7 psalms, okay? 7 trumpets. Simon had a big hit late in the evening, which is known for its heavy use of trumpets. The sound of silence in heaven for a half an hour was a warning that preceded the 7 trumpets of judgment and destruction. Okay? That's the beginning. It's essentially a warning. This period of silence that's then followed with lightning and thunder and earthquakes in heaven, and then the 7 trumpet judgments. Okay, so it's a warning. It's a warning of the 7 trumpet judgments. What's about to happen. That's what a warning does. It comes before the bad thing that's about to happen. Paul Simon had a hit song named America, and another one named American Tune. The song Late in the Evening alludes to how the timing is late before the commencement of God's judgment and destruction on America. In Bible prophecy, following the 7 trumpets of judgment and destruction is a description of the body. So just to summarize there. Paul Simon's death, in other words, on the date 8/1, will be a warning of destruction on America. That it's late in the evening. The 7 trumpets are about to begin. God's judgment is commensurate with the amount of light and blessings the individual or nation received. America is God's Gentile nation. The judgment and destruction is primarily focused on America. Some people ask me sometimes, well, why are you always so focused on America with God's prophetic signs? And the answer is, because God is. God's prophetic signs are about America. God's focused on America. God chose and used America for this purpose as a demonstration, just like he used ancient Israel. Same thing. That's why God chose the Jews and the nation of Israel to demonstrate to the rest of the world. He doesn't scatter his law and teachings around the whole world all at once. He used the nation of Israel, likewise America. He's not scattering his prophetic signs around the world. He's focused on his nation, his prized, precious Gentile nation that was a nation of disciples of Christ at its founding with the Pilgrims and Puritans. Now, so in Bible prophecy, following the 7 trumpets of judgment and destruction is a description of the bottom. And by the way, there are only 2 nations in the history of the world that were founded on a relationship with God and the Bible, Israel and America. In Bible prophecy, because the nation of America was founded by the Puritans and the Pilgrims who saw their crossing of the Atlantic to the New World as analogous to the Israelites' crossing of the Red Sea and the Jordan River into the Promised Land after they escaped persecution from the King of Egypt, like the Pilgrims were escaping persecution from the King of England. In Bible prophecy, following the 7 trumpets of judgment and destruction is a description of the bottomless pit that is opened with a key. Simon is not only known for singing, but for his songwriting, and the musical key is important in music compositions. The word key is equal to 41 in simple English gematria, and 41 is the 13th prime number. Simon was born on the 13th day of the month in 41. Simon's biggest hit was Bridge Over Troubled Water, and Demons Will Cross a Metaphorical Bridge from the demonic realm into the earthly realm, and the opening of the bottomless pit. And again, this follows the 7 trumpet judgments, the opening of the bottomless pit with a key, after which the demons will cross a bridge into the earthly realm. The word bridge, as in bridge over troubled water, which is Simon's biggest hit, which was another of his songs that he said he didn't really write. The word bridge is equal to 45 in simple English gematria. A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3. The album containing the song, Late in the Evening, was released exactly 4,500.00% of a calendar year before Simon's predicted death. And his death will signify that it is late in the evening before God's judgment and destruction, primarily on America.